Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the EKN Radio Network and another edition of the EKN Debrief. My name is Rob Howden, joined by David Cole in the mobile studio. Episode number 45 of the Debrief as we continue to do our post-event reviews. It's April the 3rd, 2019. Another couple of races on the docket for David and I this coming weekend as we wrap up our hashtag dual weekend double-double. Last weekend, I was in Denton, Texas at the iconic North Texas Kartway for the opening round of the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. Rounds 1 and 2, and that is what we will be reviewing. At least I'll be reviewing. I'll quarterback it. David will offer in some insight as well. But let's jump into this thing. This week's show presented by PSL Karting. The 2019 season marks the 20th anniversary for PSL Karting, North America's importer and distributor for the legendary Burrell Art brand. PSL Karting is your complete source for all things Burrell Art, providing this top-quality product both through their expansive dealer network or through their own pslkarting.com online store. Arrive and Drive programs, supported by PSL's experienced staff and in-house engine program, are available for all major U.S. and Canadian events. When you're ready to win, call PSL Karting or visit one of their dealers. All right, David, jumping in here, man. How are you doing? Everything ready to go for the weekend?
We're on the halfway point of our dual weekend double-double, getting the laundry done, getting other things when you're at home that you need to get done.
Right.
Family's on spring break right now, so it's a little chaotic in the Cole household with kids saying they're bored out of their minds and nothing to do. And, you know, it's a crazy time period right now.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty nuts coming in here with just 2-day turnaround. I'm packed. Cool thing is my bag is full because I'm heading to the Challenge of the Americas race in Sonoma. It's going to rain all weekend. But the cool thing is, David, I got the suit in there. I got the racing suit, the boots, the gloves. I'm going to pack the new helmet. I'm going racing this weekend.
So you're not going to pull up limp when it rains, right? You're going to.
Oh, dude, I love the rain. You know what? Okay. Hey, listen. How many times do I say this? I love the rain. I love the rain. I love the rain. So I'm going to run in the rain. I got some. I've actually got a bunch of new Sparko stuff that I'm going to test. Essentially, I don't think I've worn a Sparko suit in probably 15 years. I used to have one. My race car suit was a Sparko as well. So I hooked up with the guys. They got some new stuff for us. So I'll have a review of the gloves, everything I've got, and I got the new Bell helmet too. So I'm looking forward to bolting that out. So no, yes, I will not be bowing out because of the rain. Now, I talked to Seisman. I did say to him, hey, listen, if you don't want me to run your stuff in the rain, I get it. And he said, no, you're good. You drive it. Because the only thing is Eric said he wouldn't clean it. So I got to clean my own cart on Sunday.
Yeah, that I want to see. I want to see photos of that along with video. And yeah, definitely need to see that.
So this, again, as we jump into this debrief podcast, it is part of the dual weekend double-double. And I do want to make one note, is that I was in Texas there and I hit a couple of great restaurant places like I always try to do. On Monday morning when I was heading to the back to the airport, the time I was leaving was right kind of around the lunch hour, and it's only a half an hour drive from the hotel down to the airport. I was going to go to Torchy's Tacos, which is a big place in Texas, but it's a brand new place. I checked on Yelp real quick, and people were saying that, you know what, it's new, the people there are slow, and it's, so I went, you know what, this is the dual weekend double-double. And I know that David's not going to be able to go to In-N-Out at either of his events, and I can go to both. So I said, I have to go have a double-double animal style just to rub it into David's face. So I did.
Yeah, and I said a lot of words that you can't use on this podcast when you did send me the picture. But it's okay because I have paybacks because I'm going somewhere that you can't go this weekend.
You're going to Ocala. If you don't go to
Paisanos,
I'll smack you. That was that pizza
Not
place.
Not only that, but the franchise
of
Waffle House. What? I mean, come on. You don't have that in Sonoma. Come on.
No. You know what? It was right beside the hotel in Denton, but I just never bothered to go because I am still on the hashtag Beat David Cole program. So I'm down 15 pounds from New Year's. We'll
see. Fortunately for me and the hashtag Beat Rob Howden, Waffle House, In-N-Out, pizza, and ice cream are all part of that program.
I don't know how it works for you because if I nailed that stuff down, I'd be back at 200 and something pounds. I'm down to 197 right now. So my goal by the time we get to Battle of the Brickyard is 180. That's what I need to be at, I think, for Battle of the Brickyard.
Just to even compete with me. I understand. Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. Good enough. All right. Let's jump into this thing, folks. The overview of the 2019 Texas Pro Kart Challenge opener at North Texas Kartways. Series opening up in Denton. Last year we ran a summer race under the lights, which was awesome. But this time opening things up. The series for Texas Pro Kart Challenge shrinking down to a 3-race program. Last year they did, I thought it was pretty cool last year, 4 races last year. The March race and the September race during the school year were, they ran, I think it was Saturday practice, Sunday race, just a one single race. And then in the summer, they did the Friday, Saturday, Sundays because people were off school. Now they got the feedback from the racers saying, hey, you know what? We don't want to travel a long distance to do one race day. So, okay, we'll shrink it down. It's just 3 Friday, Saturday, Sunday events. So double header for all 3. So 6 races over 3 weekends. Of course, kicking off at Denton last weekend. In July, we go to Amarillo, that tremendous track in Amarillo that I'm really looking forward to going to. I'm going to be doing some driving. We'll talk about that later. And then we cap things off in September, actually on my birthday weekend, at Speed Sports Racing Park in Houston. I'm going to hopefully do some driving there as well. So that's the series. The bottom line right now is that I think club racing is pretty good in Texas. I talked to Alan Rudolph. He's really happy with the way his club is growing at Speed Sports. You know, they've got a good club, you know, not massive numbers at Denton. You know, there's just good, decent club racing on the tracks around the country. The regional stuff, though, is tough right now. There's 2 regional series right now, which just, you know, there's no need for 2, but there are 2. So despite the low numbers, because I will go into the numbers, only 59 drivers in total for this event, which is sad. We need to be up at 100, 120. That's what this program deserves. But despite the low numbers, really good vibe in the pits. People were having a blast. You know, the French has put on a great program. They just, you know, they've got good people there, great people in tech. They got great people for the staff. Mark French, I'm telling you, does just an awesome job as a race director. I love his temperament and just the way he handled things. I thought he did a great job. But again, just 59 racers, David. And we see that around some of the series to here. There's just, how many times do we have to talk about there's just so much racing going on? It's just tough.
There's a lot of racing going on, and that's part of the problem. And again, the other side of it is Texas Pro Kart Challenge used to be a shifter kart program.
Yeah,
it was nothing but shifter karts. I mean, there are guys all over the state of Texas and Oklahoma and all the surrounding states. They came to the series because they raced shifter karts, and that was the place to go.
There's 3.
Now there's 3.
3 shifters.
And that, you know, a lot of it has to do with just people moved on. Some people have moved on from the sport, or some people have grown out of the sport. Some people have advanced up into other forms of racing. Yeah. And again, the uncertainty of the engine situation that was going on with Superkarts USA over the last 2 years. And it's for people in Texas, you know, you kind of, you fend them off or kind of piss them off, and they show their anger with just dropping everything and it's like, forget it, I'm done.
Yeah.
And they'll go off and do other things.
Yeah, you know, you looked at a bunch of the teams. You know, Jordan Musser, and of course, Dave Pauly's 3G Kart Racing was a big supporter of all the shifter kart stuff. He's essentially kind of shut that program down. Jordan's still going to do some racing, but again, you know, there was nobody out there with the new IME 175 yet, and that's just a program. It's going to keep growing. Shifters will come back eventually to Texas. People will jump on board with them, but right now, there just isn't anybody, and they're going to have to do what they can to potentially come up with some kind of a place for shifter karts to come and run. That's one of the sad things for sure. And as you said, Dave, is that uncertainty right now in gearbox racing for around the whole country. There are some pockets. Of course, F-Series has got a good little KZ program. There's still some stock Honda running. You know, SKUSA started off the California Pro Kart Challenge. They had decent numbers out there because that's essentially where the growth has been. People buying the IME 175, but just not there in Texas yet. And another thing is that the series and what it's done, it's kind of hurt itself. And I was talking to Mark and Gina about it, is they run their program to train people to be ready to go to the Pro Tour, to run the Superkarts USA Pro Tour. That's how they try to run their program. Well, there's a lot of guys that they've essentially lost to national racing that aren't running Texas at all anymore. They're running national events, or, you know, a couple of guys went and ran the California Pro Kart Challenge race in Buttonwillow instead. So they've seen guys move up because that's what they've been trying to do. So Numbers, they had 3 in Micro Swift, 7 in Mini. So they do still have some young drivers in the program. Love to see those in double digits, of course. We always, we talked about it, David, with our last podcast, the WK Manufacturers Cup, double-digit numbers in Kid Kart, in Micro. That means you're going to have guys moving up, which is important. They added the 206 senior class, which I thought was great. I love having Briggs there. It's a great regional program. You and I talk about 206 being very Briggs, right? Very, very regional. We want it club and regional. Same with the KA100. They've added KA100. It's just starting to grow in Texas. As it grows with the clubs, more guys will come out to a regional race and come and have some fun. So there was 10 in 206 senior. There was 4 in KA100 senior and just 2 in junior. Hopefully we'll see that continue to develop for the next round. Biggest class was X30 junior, and it was fun to watch. They had a great run at 14. 8 in senior, and at one point 8 in masters, but a couple of guys didn't run on Sunday, which was a shame. I think it went down to 4 on Sunday. So all in all, not the numbers that they want. But again, as I said, when I sat down and talked to Mark and Gina afterwards about Amarillo, it's all about, hey, what can we do to have fun? So when we cap off that, we'll talk about some of the stuff that Mark and I are going to kind of roll out a little bit and have some fun when we get to Amarillo. But again, just tough numbers, David. I hate to see it because regional racing is so important, and people need to support a series like Texas Pro Kart Challenge.
It's just the cycle of our sport. You see big numbers, and then a couple of years later, it's down to almost nothing. USPKS was down, and now they're back up again. WK is always the same way. They're down, they're up. They're down, they're up. Superkarts USA didn't start off very big. I mean, they were in the 90 drivers the first event, and then they've grown. So now the numbers are kind of fluctuating again for that program. It's part of our sport. It's a struggle because you want to get people involved in karting, and so you start them out at the club, and sometimes the regional programs get overlooked and they go right from club to national racing.
Very good point. You're right. Yeah, and with shops trying to move a guy right from clubs right to a national racing, right?
Yeah, and with the K100 engines, programs going national racing, it's a little bit easier for them to do that. So, it's just kind of the way the industry has gone, and we'll see. Obviously the Amarillo, they'll be able to turn it around because it's in the middle of the summer. It's a popular facility. They're going to get a lot of racers from outside the area coming in to race it. So again, we'll see what happens as the year goes on for them.
All right, folks, we're going to head to our first commercial break. When we come back, I'll give you some insight into the paddock, what we saw when we were in Denton, Texas. But again, this is the EKN Radio Network. It's episode number 45 of the EKN Debrief as we review the opening rounds of the Texas Pro Kart Challenge.
For over a century, Briggs & Stratton has had a commitment and passion for racing. It's a DNA found in every engine we build today. So whether you kart race, Baja, race quarter midgets, or believe that dirt and snow are just God's way of adding to the challenge, the dedicated spirit of every Briggs & Stratton employee stands at the fence waiting for the green flag to drop. Briggs & Stratton Racing. What powers you?
The shift is on to a new brand and a new way of thinking. Mad Old Nut Racing and Croc Promotion USA are focused on changing the paradigm when it comes to race teams in this sport. And the goal is to support dedicated young racers by giving them the tools and opportunities to succeed. Originally born as Mad Croc, the new branding is Croc Promotion, and Armando Fellini's product continues its dedication to quality and innovation. Croc Promotion USA is the American importer and distributor, and Mad Old Nut Racing is the official race team. We're ready to attack in 2019, and our race results speak for themselves. AJ Myers swept the first 4 Winter Series shifter kart races of the year, and Andrew Bedozzo continues to assert himself as an emerging player. Croc Promotion has momentum. Dedicated and talented young drivers, supported and mentored by team owners who know business and who are passionate about karting. That's Croc Promotion USA. That's Mad Old Nut Racing. Search for us on social media and give us a follow. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network. My name's Rob Howden, joined by David Cole as I break down my trip to the Texas Pro Kart Challenge event, the opening round at North Texas Kartway in Denton. Let's jump into the Paddock Pass, that segment of our podcast here. Today's podcast, Paddock Pass section, presented by Stilo USA. As a world leader in personal racing safety products, Simpson Performance Products is now the official North American distributor for Stilo helmets. In addition to their popular auto racing helmets, Stilo is excited to have made their move into karting. Stilo has two helmets designed and manufactured specifically for karting, the ST5 CMR 2016 for kids and the ST5 Kart Snell K 2015 adult karting helmet. For more information, check them out at simpsonperformanceproducts.com/Stilo or by following them on social media at Stilo USA. Man, Dave, stumbling over my words. I don't feel like I've been this busy in a long time. This dual weekend double is kicking the crap out of me. It's just,
it's.
You feeling that? Are you feeling that?
Yeah, I felt it before we even left. It's like I was telling people this past weekend. I mean, this is, I think, the busiest we've ever been at Howden Media Group. Yeah. It's just nonstop. A lot of components into what we do, and it just seems like there's not an end in sight. Let's just say that.
Well, step back 2 years, or just over a year, right? Because we launched the EKN Radio Network last January. This is not something we did. Last year we did 53 podcasts. We've already kicked out, I think, 18 or 19 podcasts already. I'm aiming for 100, probably, going to come here between 80 and 100. But we didn't have this. We weren't doing podcasts. We weren't doing the EKN Radio Network. You weren't essentially a radio station manager on the side as well. So, yeah, it's nutty. But again, we dig it. We love it. We're going to get to do some racing. That'll make it so much more worthwhile. All right, into the Paddock Pass right now. Overall, and again, I talk about Mark French and how great of a job he does as the race director. 0 red flags. Really, we only had one guy go over. It was actually RJ Guajardo in the 206 class, a little contact in turn number 2. He flipped, but was right up, stood right up. Everything was fine. He was pissed off, but everything was fine. No red. Mark ran across the track. He actually ran to him. He was fine. Walked into the paddock and 0 red flags. So that's always something huge. Paddock wise, I think one of the biggest impressions I got there was the arrival of crosslink competition. Sean Owens has done such a good job with that program, really kind of picking up essentially where the departure of Dallas Karting Complex, the DKC team left. Crosslink, of course, and Kiwi, I think it's Kiwi Motorsports, an F4 team. They've connected with Crosslink and what Sean's doing with the karting program. A lot of the drivers that used to run for DKC now running for Sean at Crosslink, coming off a big win, David, at the Winter Nationals as well with Joshua Carr. Really strong lineup, and it's a clean, professional presentation. Tent looks fantastic. The karts look great. Said Sean's just done a great job, and you saw them, David, at the Winter Nationals at the start of the Pro Tour, SCUSA Pro Tour. They got 4 or 5 karts almost in every class in Texas, and boom, they're battled up front. They got good drivers too.
Yeah, Sean's done a great job with what he does trackside for the programs that he's done. First with Dallas Karting Complex, and now with Crosslink, obviously making the transition from Sodi Kart brands over to the Xpree under the OTK banner. Done a very phenomenal job and very professional organization that he's running. And again, you need that in a region right now. That's really the really only Texas, aside from CRG being based in Texas, but it's based obviously throughout the country, being the major distributor for the CRG brand. But that's really the only race team that you really see from the state of Texas.
Well, yeah, interesting because the 3 teams, I would say, just to add to what you said, obviously Crosslink. Tony Tesoro was there with the CRG guys. The CRG Nordam crew was there, and they added William Cox to the team. So they had their guys there running, and their big guns, Brandon Baker and Austin Garrison, were there wrenching and coaching the guys, which was solid. But then you also have the new team arriving, and that's Alan Rudolph's Speed Sports Racing Park crew, right? Because he had a couple guys, one guy in the micro class, had a couple drivers in the mini class that were first and second all weekend, had a couple guys running in X30 Junior as well. They're just kind of developing that program, which I think is really cool. So
Yeah, that's a newer program that's starting again because facility came first. Now they've started to get a lot of racers coming to their facility. Well, what do you do when you want to move on from just racing at the same racetrack? Well, you start a race team and you go to different programs, and so that's kind of the transition that they're going through right now.
Working on the paddock pass here, talking about the Texas Pro Kart Challenge opener at NTK. The debut of the 206 Briggs class. We talked a little bit about that already, Dave. A pretty good field, 10 karts. And everybody had a good time. And there was kind of that feeling of, hey, you know what? This is cool. We're going to add more guys for Amarillo. More guys are going to roll. Jeff Dolian showed up on the Margay on Sunday. Couldn't race Saturday, had family commitments, but he showed up on Sunday. And he's jacked to go to Amarillo as well. So I think I would not be surprised to see 15 to 20. Because I know I'm going to drive too. So we'll talk about that later. But we're going to add a couple of guys that are going to drive. I think Mark French is actually going to drive too. So we're going to put a little master's program in there to run with the seniors. But really cool to see the 206 because I think it's a regional program. And I'm glad that Mark and Gina added it because let's have a good representation of Texas karting, club karting in the regional level. It allows all the 206 guys that run at all the different racetracks, Katy, Lubbock, Denton, Speed Sports. It allows those guys to come out and run a regional program against each other, which I think is awesome. That's when I used to race hardcore back in the 90s, when the 4 years before I started the magazine, when I raced probably 15 to 20 times a year. I loved that. I loved regional. I love racing at my club, but going to other tracks, Goodwood, going to Sutton, wherever I was going, all the different tracks. I love doing that, man. Regional racing, I think, is a lot of fun.
It is. It can be a lot of fun. And again, it's that mix between national drivers and club drivers and just guys who are kind of in between there or moving up or some could be moving down and just want to kind of relax and not really focus nationally. But, you talk about Briggs race, possibly a master's class. Don't let Dolian race masters. Just let him race senior.
Yeah, there's no way. No, he's got the right speed. He's so fast. One thing I didn't talk about in the overview was the weather. Actually, we had a threat of potential rain. It didn't come, but it was super cold. We were on Sunday morning. It was 39 degrees when I got there. 37, I think, when they started practice. It was 39 degrees for a warm-up on Sunday morning. It eventually got into the mid-50s, but when the sun came out. But, man, I'll tell you, high winds on Saturday. I think we were 40s, not even into the 50s potentially on Saturday. So kudos to the staff and all the teams and everybody because it was just flat cold. Now, there was a heater up in the PA booth, so I was probably in the warmest place you possibly could be. So there was no complaints out of me. But interesting, on Sunday – I'm not sure if it was Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember. Well, maybe it was Saturday. Anyways, I rolled down to get a couple shots of the camera, of the grid, fire some stuff out on social media, walk around the corner, and whoa, is that Michael Waltrip? So we had no idea he was showing up. So Michael Waltrip from NASCAR on Fox showed up at Denton during the Texas Pro Kart Challenge weekend to tape a bit of a feature on karting that they'll use in an upcoming NASCAR broadcast. They're of course in town, David, for the Texas Motor Speedway race that was on the weekend, and it was just odd. I just walked around the corner. That's Michael Waltrip.
Well, he's a taller figure, so he's gonna stand out in a crowd, especially at a kart track where there's not a lot of tall people. So he's definitely going to stand out, and then obviously the way he dresses kind of helps him stand out a little bit more. But I was interested to hear exactly what they were filming and when they were going to broadcast it, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be part of the Sunday broadcast or
Sunday. It was Saturday,
or something during this week. On one of the NASCAR shows that they were going to do at all. So I'm interested to see the footage that they had and what the kids say and kind of the interactions that they had with Michael there.
I know that he was talking as well with Ashlyn Speed and her dad Greg Speed, and they were talking about Ashlyn's racing. But Michael talked about the fact that's where he started. He started in karting as well, right? So it was cool. It was just cool to see him there. And obviously, anytime we can get national exposure for karting on a NASCAR race, on an IndyCar program, whatever it is, I'm all for it. It was cool to see him show up. Last but not least, in our paddock pass section here of this debrief, do want to mention the fact that Stilo USA was actually on site. Jessica from Stilo was there. They raffled off a Simpson helmet dryer. You had to go in and I think you had to tell them who your favorite F1 driver was and what kind of helmet they wore. So a new series sponsor, Stilo USA, for Texas Pro Kart Challenge. And I think they're going to be trackside at all 3 events this year, too. So just good to see, a company like that be trackside, spend the time to be at the track. I think, and I believe that Stilo was at your race, too, when you were at
yeah,
Man
they
Cup,
were
right?
trackside. They had, I believe it was like a certain percentage off any new helmets that you purchase trackside. Cool. So it was good to see them there. I believe they have a base out of the Charlotte area, so it was quick and easy for them to be over there and just on display. But there was one thing that you don't have down in the notes. I believe you did a little interview, a little Q&A on Facebook, correct?
You know what? I didn't put that in there. You're right. So while we were there, essentially at the Texas Pro Kart Challenge race, and I knew it was coming, that Jake French actually getting signed by Croc Promotion and Mad Old Nut Racing. And so that, the information came out right as we were trackside, and pretty cool to see that Jake signed by them. Obviously, AJ Myers parting ways with Mad Old Nut Racing. As you and I know, there will be breaking news coming out next week where AJ is going to land. He actually has signed with a team, I believe, and we'll be announcing that next week. But yeah, I did a little quick, probably 10-minute Facebook Live interview with Jake to chat with him a little bit right before we did the presentations. And Mark French couldn't stop himself, right? He had to come in and be part of the
I saw him sneak his way. Oh, I didn't know you guys were taping. Oh yeah.
What's happening?
You need to have
the
podium. We're doing podiums. You kind of got to wrap it up. Yeah, come on, Rob, hurry up. Oh, you want me on camera? Sure, I'll be there.
Right? But hey, listen, that's a cool deal. I know that Jake had said in the interview that he wasn't sure if he wanted to dive back in like full time, but this is going to be a full time deal, and I think Mark's pretty jacked up as well. He's missing it. Mark French and Jake French, just one of the all time badass father son teams, and I think that's super cool to see that he wrenches for his kid, and they just had that connection, which I think is great.
See, I didn't know Mark was part of the deal. I thought Jake was finally getting rid of that side, that baggage that he carries around.
I think he tried to. No, it's cool. So, for those of you who don't know, Jake French will be running the Croc Promotion chassis. I know that they were shipping carts out on Monday. They were going to get some stuff out to get the carts to Texas. Jake told us they'll probably test at potentially Denton, but more likely down in Houston at Speed Sports, or they may roll up to Oklahoma, to the Oklahoma Motorsports Complex. Going to get a chance. He and his dad are going to get a chance to just pound out some laps on that cart, get a feel for how they're going to approach setup. He's going to go out and do the next LAKC race at the end of the month to set up for the Spring Nationals in Utah. So I love it. I like seeing Jake back in it again, because throw another badass driver into the Pro Shifter 1 class on the Pro Tour. There's another 175cc guy, so that engine's going to be in Texas, so potentially look for him to run at Amarillo. Maybe we see a bunch of 175s come out for Amarillo with Jake kind of fueling that excitement again.
Yeah, I think you'll see that, because a number of those guys, or a number of the drivers that are coming from outside of the Texas area, are shifter drivers. Yeah. I believe it could be a Musgrave French battle. We could see Musgrave coming over again as he did last year. Maybe some guys from Colorado. I'm sure Christian Bird's excited to get back behind the wheel.
Hunter Pickett ran last year too.
Hunter Pickett as well.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe the GFC program will come out this way. So out to Texas. So
that would be interesting too.
Yeah. Who knows? It could be a field of 10 or 12 guys racing Pro Shifter.
Well, Amarillo's a bucket list race. And that's, again, one of the things I'll talk about is the fact that I did say to Mark, hey, I want to race this. I want to race. And he goes, do it for sure. So, somebody will grab the mic when I'm not on it, or they won't bother, whatever. But I'm going to run 206. But that's a bucket list track. It's, we call Amarillo, I like to call it the field of dreams when it comes to karting, right? So Thane Morgan, a doctor in Amarillo, found karting, thought it was badass, bought some shifter carts, and built his own racetrack just outside Amarillo. And it's right along the highway. You can see the highway. It's right there. I flew over top of it when I was landing in Amarillo last year. And it's a copy of Istanbul, Turkey, the F1 circuit. It's just a scaled down copy of that track. And man, is it cool. It's an awesome facility. And there's not a ton there for the facility, but it's kind of built there for him to go racing and his kid and whoever wants to come and play. But it's going to be another great race. We're looking forward to it. We've got some good stuff happening. All right, folks, let's go to another break. When we get back, I'm going to start rocking and rolling through the race reports, give you some insight into the racing, what I saw from my vantage point, but we'll talk about who was able to make it to the podium in the opening rounds of the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. Stay with us. More to come here on the EKN Radio Network. Rotax is officially back in America, and J3 Competition is the iconic brand's new importer and distributor for the northern half of the United States. With a focus on top-notch customer service and unparalleled product support, J3 Competition is excited to work with club and regional series to build the Rotax community in the tag categories. They're promoting a pair of special events this year to provide opportunities for their racers to win tickets to the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals in Italy, the sport's most talked about global event. The Stars and Stripes Trophy and the Stars and Stripes Open events will feature J3 Competition's trademark professionalism, as well as the popular engine raffle program to provide a completely level playing field. With tickets to this year's Grand Finals up for grabs, they look forward to seeing everyone at the trophy event in May in Utah and for the Open in August at Pit Race. Rotax is a leader in two-cycle technology, and J3 Competition brings over 75 years of experience to the brand here in the United States. Check out the new Rotax USA program at racerotax.com. Are you looking for a new kart shop? One that treats you like you're an important customer? If so, look no further than Acceleration Kart Racing. At Acceleration, customer service is number one. We are a full-time karting business, not a hobby or an afterthought. We have all the products you're looking for, from kit karts to shifters, safety to speed. We strive to offer our customers the best products, prices, and service. At Acceleration Kart Racing, we're always here when you need something for your racing program. Located in Las Vegas, Acceleration is stocked with a wide range of products. We've been helping racers get the right parts for over 16 years. Acceleration has everything that a kart racer needs, from turnkey karts to safety equipment, engines, and more, stocking all of the leading kart racing brands. Here's a taste of the products that we carry every day. CRG, Tony Kart, Bennett, Rotax, Honda, Miami, MG Tires, Vinco, Bridgestone, Mojo, Alpine Stars, Sparco, Ribtech, and EVS, Tillett, Micron, Alfano, Bell, Arai, Zamp, KG, Sniper, SweetTech, and K&N. It doesn't matter where you live in the country. We will get you what you need so you can get back on the track. Acceleration has a sufficient supply of products to ensure that your order can be shipped the very same day. Our knowledgeable staff is available to help customers 6 days a week, and ordering online is open 24 hours a day at shopakr.com. For visitors and locals in the Las Vegas area, Acceleration has a large showroom full of the best kart racing products available. Come on in and check it out. To find out more about what Acceleration has to offer, visit shopakr.com. Again, shopakr.com. And make sure to sign up to be on our mailing list to receive the latest updates and promotions that we send throughout the season. Again, we're a one-stop shop. shopakr.com. Welcome back to the EKN Radio Network, episode 45 of the EKN Debrief. As I review my trip to the Texas Pro Kart Challenge event in Denton, Texas, David Cole along for the broadcast here to add some insights. This race report brought to you by Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. If you want to improve your results, it's time for professional instruction and coaching at the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Located at the state-of-the-art Speed Sports Racing Park just north of Houston, the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy offers custom coaching programs for newcomers and experienced racers alike. Train with a champion with over 30 years of racing experience to get proven results. Get ready for the big races by training with the best. Reserve your dates now by calling 866-607-RACE. That's 866-607-7223. I have to send you down there, David. You could use some help, especially if you're trying to beat me this year.
Wow. Wow. There's no try. You know, I
There's
I
only
will
due.
just happen to there's only due. So,
Well, you know what?
but I would like to just get down there just so I can experience it. And
Yeah.
I've never done any proper driver training,
Well,
so
that's obvious.
Why not?
That's obvious. This
This
is good. That said, when I do go down, the finale for the Texas Pro Kart Challenge is in mid-September, 13th, 14th,
Yes.
15th.
You are correct.
I think I'm going to go down on the 12th. Go down a day early. I want to do a day with Alan. I think that would be super cool to be able to get a feel for what he brings to the table, because a number of the top drivers, junior drivers, have spent some time with Alan down there, and what he's been able to do with them is awesome. So I like the idea of going down and kind of spending a day with Alan, getting him to show me what he would do and try to raise my game a little bit. I'm the same as you, Dev. I've never had any kind of coaching before, and I know that's obvious as well too. But it's I think that'd be cool, wouldn't it? I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's what it's about. I mean, even if it's finding out one thing that you think you've understood that he's showing you a different way of doing, just that one thing could mean 1 or 2 tenths.
He was just before we jump into the race report, he was actually telling me about one of the drivers he was coaching, and it's a top level junior driver. And he was saying one of the things they really focused on was his braking, just to maximize his braking, because he was braking too long, to shorten the braking and getting off the brake to roll through the corner, was able to pick up 2 or 3 tenths of a second on braking alone, which I think, again, to have somebody like Alan, who's just, an ambassador of our sport first and foremost, but just so much knowledge. And he's been an instructor for 20 something years. So to be able to have that ability to be able to coach and teach and speak the language, I'm looking forward to it for sure. And I think anybody who wants to take, people spend so much money on just going practicing and bamming out laps, right? Or buying that new piece, that new component that's supposedly going to give him 2 tenths of a second. If you want 2 tenths of a second, go to the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy and he'll give you 2 tenths.
Or a helmet.
Oh, true enough.
The amount you spend on a helmet will easily get you a few courses done.
Agreed. All right, let's jump into the race report, again, presented by the Alan Rudolph Racing Academy. Let's start with X30 Senior. As I said before, a decent field, eight drivers. We'd like to see 16 or 26, but 8 drivers, very strong. The Crosslink team was strong there. They had a lot of good guys. Alejandro Jaramillo, last year's champion, Riley Kahn, Dylan Town, all running for Crosslink. But it was actually Caden Gray who dominated the weekend for Team Felon on an FA. He was good. Caden Gray with the win, qualified pole, swept everything, pre-final and final, and was able to pull away, give himself a good gap. It was the Crosslink drivers battling with Ethan Arndt and Max Hewitt for the final spots on the podium. So on Saturday, Jaramillo ends up in second, Dylan Town in third. It's actually exactly the same on Sunday, but Jaramillo, got a little bit lucky, I think, because he just didn't seem to have the right pace. He was kind of right there in 5th or 6th, but 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th got battling. David, they were like side by side, too wide, diving on each other. Well, in the far part of the racetrack, coming out of, I think, what they call like 6 and 7, kind of a double apex left-hander before you come back to turn 8 and 9, the right-left that leads onto the straightaway. They went at it. They got elbows up. They tried to, guys trying to go too wide coming through the corner, and they ended up getting collected. Ethan Arndt got turned around almost. I think Max Hewitt got turned around. He actually, I don't know if he had a flat tire or something, but he ended up retiring early. But it was one of those deals, the laps were kind of winding down, and people figured it was go time. So they went at it pretty good. It was pretty solid to watch. But they went at it, hammer and tong, and somehow Jaramillo ends up coming out in second again.
Well, similar to, where I'm going this week, Ocala, you can kind of say Denton is kind of like a Bristol of karting.
Agreed, yeah.
It's not exactly a big facility. It's not a wide track. It's not a long track. It's kind of it's a club track. Yep. And when you go to certain facilities like that, it tends to create these dramatic races that you tend to see every year you go to Denton. The
big place to pass is after you come through the chicane 4-5, and then they call it a little kink 6. It will be turn 7 down at the end of the straightaway, short straightaway. That's the primary place to pass. If you can't get through the chicane well enough, somebody's going to get you down in turn number 7. And you're right. It's a 38 or I think a 37 second lap, something like that for X30 Senior. And you kind of got to make passes happen. And I've raced numerous times at Ocala, and that's the same thing. You got to make passes happen there. You're going to see that for sure when you're there this weekend, right?
No, that's one of the reasons why I like going there. I love it, especially when we get fields of 20 and 30 drivers.
Yeah, agreed. X30 Junior, Ryan Sheehan actually came out of the box very quickly on Saturday, qualified on the pole, ended up winning the pre-final. Another good pack of Crosslink drivers, because you throw in Chase Gardner, you throw in Dawson Svoboda. There was 4 Crosslink drivers, and essentially them versus Alex Stanfield by himself. So Josh Huff was down there this weekend too, helping out with Alex Stanfield, and it was interesting for sure. I was watching him in there, David. It's one of those deals where you're just surrounded by all the same carts, right? You don't even know who you're battling against because they're all around him. Adrian Cruz actually came through and passed, I want to say midway through the race on Saturday, and was able to take the lead and kind of pull away a bit. She ended up finishing in second and Alex Stanfield in third. It was the same podium for Sunday, but this time it was actually Cruz. He qualified on pole, won the pre-final, and walked away in the main event. He had things handled. A really impressive weekend for Adrian Cruz, kind of stepping up. Sheehan again was second, and Stanfield right in there as well. But Gardner and Svoboda were really fast. I was impressed with again. Remember Chase. We've watched him for the last couple of years. Chase Gardner coming up from mini into the X30 junior class. Now he's still a little guy. A lot of go-kart for him, but I was impressed. He did a really good job.
Yeah, that'll be, again, that's what regional racing is for. Help you, understand a little better moving up to the bigger size karts. Yep. And again, like you said, working within a team that has already a number of drivers in the category. You're not chasing setup. You're not chasing, gearing. You have a lot of the data right there to help you to get on the right path, and it'll eventually come for Chase.
Agreed. Moving to X30 Master, and we talked about the fact that the shifter stuff is really rough in Texas right now. Actually, a couple of the regular shifter guys were actually running in X30 Master instead, the single speed. Both Rod Clenard and Nathan Stewart raced on Saturday. They did not race on Sunday. Clenard, who's a top Supermasters driver in the shifter car categories over the last couple of years, winning number plates in the SCUSA Pro Tour, he qualified on pole. Just nipping on, I think, the final lap of qualifying, was able to get faster than reigning champion Miguel Mir, who is with Crosslink as well. Clenard able to hold off. Mir ran well through the pre-final, but Mir attacked big time on the opening lap of the main, and they ran 25 lap mains. It's a shorter track, obviously, 30 laps for the X30 seniors and the juniors, X30 junior, 25 lap main for the Masters guys, and Mir attacked quickly in turn number 8. I think he surprised Clenard a little bit, got a good run through 7 and dove it to the inside of 8. And then from there, he kind of checked out. Rod still did a great job, ended up finishing in the second spot, but Miguel really kind of turned things up throughout the weekend. They just got better and better throughout the weekend. Ross Smith ended up finishing in the third spot. I expected Clenard to potentially challenge more for the main event win, but Mir just was that good. On Sunday, as I said, Stewart didn't race, Mir didn't race. There was a couple of the drivers that didn't run. We only had 4 drivers in the Masters class on Sunday. Mir ended up getting the win. He walked away with it. Ross Smith ended up finishing in second. And Thane Morgan, they were very close on lap times. Ross Smith and Thane Morgan, they capped off the podium. So X30 Masters, good start for Miguel Mir. Last year at the opening round, he got a little impatient and drove over top of Keith Harless. He got into an incident in the pre-final and tried to work his way to the lead early, and he should have relaxed. He had the fastest kart and drove over top of Harless and ended up getting a penalty. Calm down, better run, couple of wins for Mir. That's the way to start off a championship run for sure.
I was just going to say he's been among the quickest X30 Master driver in the state of Texas over the last couple of years. Last year obviously he had some issues on track at a couple of events, but once you eliminate that, it makes winning a lot easier. And he proved it both Saturday and Sunday. And
he had some mechanical issues last year too. I think he dropped a chain at Denton last year. Same thing when we were at Amarillo. He was leading and something broke, chain or something again. So again, with Crosslink now, that whole program, making sure that all his stuff's together. So we'll see if that ends up delivering potentially a technical issue-free year. I'll do just a quick before we go to the break, I'll do a quick thing on the shifters. There was only 2 shifter drivers. Again, it's sad to see it. I really hope we'll see some guys come out and play. Skylar Sutton was the only driver in the S1 category. We did have 2 drivers for Saturday in the S4, the master class. Miguel Garcia won both days. He raced against Alan Page on Saturday. Page actually won the pre-final, then Garcia won the final, and then Garcia solo on Sunday. So again, tough time for shifters in Texas. Hopefully that's going to bounce back. I say this, there's nothing wrong with the Honda shifter still. If you have a Honda, get on the phone, call Mark and Gina, start rallying people together like the old school way, Dave, right? Let's get on the phone. Let's call everybody who's got a Honda shifter in Texas and say, let's go to Amarillo. You know what I mean? If you've got one, let's go racing. So we used to always do that.
There's social media now. I mean, it's a lot easier.
Right.
You just have to get out there and start calling people names out on the internet. I mean, that typically gets people fired up and ready to fight. So you can say, hey, come fight me at Amarillo and bring your Honda with you.
That's it. I'd like to see that because there's lots of Hondas out there. You and I have talked about the fact that we expect a bunch of them to end up road racing because it's a great road racing engine still. It's just a great engine. So hopefully we'll see some people with Honda shifters in their garages in Texas say, you know what? It's July. We're going to Amarillo. I want to run this badass racetrack. So that's something that I'm sure that I'll talk to Mark and Gina about, see if we can't get some groundswell, some real organic growth, getting people to come racing. All right, folks, another quick break here, and then we'll come back. I'll wrap up my race report from the opening round of the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. David and I will look at the EKN Trackside Live race calendar, and then I'll do the event wrap to cap off this particular edition of the EKN Debrief.
Kartlift has been designing, engineering, and building innovative kart stands since 2003. Our flagship model Winchlift LT is the motorized workhorse of our kart stand lineup and should be the foundation of your karting program. When it comes to test days or race days, the Winchlift is an invaluable tool that allows you to head to the track to test and tune anytime, knowing that your kart will easily be lifted with the press of a button. Add our innovative winch stacker, and now you can double stack 2 carts on top of a folded down winch lift, saving space in your trailer or garage. If a lifting kart stand isn't for you, then one of our traditional folding scissor stands, double or triple stacker stands, or upright stand should fill the need. Every one of our kart stands features flat-free wheels and casters and a durable powder coat finish. Check out our full stand lineup as well as our chassis skid plates, tire changers, and accessories at kartlift.com. That's www.kartlift.com.
If you want to drive the best, drive a CRG. Our countless race wins and championships prove this fact, including taking the KZ Finals at the SCUSA Super Nationals and the CIK World Championships in both 2016 and 2017. Our material is second to none. After years of independent American importers, CRG is now managed directly by the factory and run out of our state-of-the-art headquarters in Texas. CRG Nordam is the American arm of the CRG factory in Italy, and we're serious about success. We stock a wide variety of parts in all of our chassis, from the CRG Hero for the mini categories, to the Heron for tag race, the Road Rebel for gearbox competition, and the new FS4, which has been designed specifically for American 4-cycle Briggs racing. If you're ready to step up to the national level, do it with a factory race team that competes across the USA. CRG Nordam is a full factory effort with the best personnel and the finest equipment. We're serious about winning, and you should be too.
Welcome back to episode number 45 of the EKN Debrief here on the EKN Radio Network. April the 3rd, David Cole and I right in the middle of our hashtag Dual Weekend Double-Double. WKMAN Cup, Texas Pro Kart Challenge last weekend, Challenge of the Americas finale and this weekend, and the opening round of the USPKS. David, I'm going to talk briefly here about the KA100 class. The senior category was able to draw 4 to start. Austin Osborne, though, the guy's one of the top, K100 drivers in the country, obviously winning at the Winter Nationals. So he kind of dominated the action. I don't think you would be surprised with that.
No, I wouldn't be surprised with that. I think he's really pumped up for the 2019 season. The KA100 engine package kind of, does that with some people. 100cc racing was really popular back when Osborne was coming up the ranks and was really good at it as a cadet and junior driver. And, now that he's that middle ground where you're not really that 15-year-old kid and that can race X30 and you can't really move up to masters yet because you're not old enough. So that middle ground there, he's really pumped up for this season.
So Saturday, let's put it this way. Osborne sweeps everything, qualifies on pole, pre-final, final, wins both days. Andy Miller, who's actually the club president at North Texas Kartway, finished second both days. Ethan Arndt was third on Saturday, did not race on Sunday, focused only on X30 Senior. And Josiah Tracy ended up finishing third on the Sunday event, rather. Tracy and Miller were so evenly matched, but I didn't see it. I was looking down and looked back up and something happened and he was, 10 seconds back. But for the rest of the race, he would close up a half a second, lose a half a second. Like he just didn't have the consistent lap times. He was kind of closing for 3-4 laps and then would, lose a half a second, whatever it may be. So that was the podium. Now, interesting and kind of a cool thing that Gina and Mark French laid out. Of course, their company is P1 Promotions. They do the Texas Pro Kart Challenge, but they're also putting on a race called the Kalo Cup at Coda Karting, the new karting facility at the Circuit of the Americas on June the 14th, 15th, and 16th, just for the KA class and just for LO206, the Briggs category. So just KA, just Briggs, June 14th, 15th, 16th. In K100 Senior, it would have been Junior as well. You had to have at least 3 entries. The driver with the most points at the end of the weekend got a free entry to the Kalo Cup. So that'll be Austin Osborne. So add him to the Kalo Cup. I think that's going to be a really cool race. David, I got a chance to see the track up close and personal when I was there for the IndyCar event, the IndyCar Classic a couple of weeks ago. It's a badass, cool facility at a great venue. It's awesome. And the cool thing about it is, aside from the racing, David, to have that track there at Coda, I think is going to be huge in terms of building karting and awareness to karting in Texas.
Yeah, and then you add in the Margay Racing coming in and help build their not just the rental program, but the actual racing aspect at the Circuit of the Americas karting facility. You kind of mix that in. They had a great event in February down there with Mark and Gina helping to help put on that race officially on the official side of things, but. Yeah, so if I wasn't busy in June, I'd definitely want to be down there because I'd race either K or Briggs. I mean, that would be
yeah, exactly
that would be awesome.
One of the cool things, I'll just throw this in here because I think it's really interesting, is that at the track, they do a lot of stuff at Coda now at the Circuit of the Americas, right? They put a bunch of concerts on. They've actually built a soccer field and a whole soccer stadium at the track. It's just outside the facility, I think, in the final couple of corners there. So think about the fact that let's say they're able to draw 5,000, 10,000. I don't know how many people they're going to draw to the deal, but the kart track's right there. They're going to be able to market people to come out. Hey, come out for the soccer game. Crank out some laps over here at the track first. Just the ability to bring that awareness to people for karting, I think, is massive. Especially the Formula One is there. Of course, the IndyCar race was there as well. There's probably 25 or 30,000 fans. MotoGP is coming in April. And they're going to put 100, let's say 80,000 fans there for MotoGP. They're all going to get a chance to check out this karting track. They're going to see the rental fleet. They're going to see the Margay Ignite program. I'm telling you, I don't think we've talked enough about how that particular track, I think, is going to be big for karting on the whole and huge for the state of Texas.
Yeah, because as you said, just not for the state of Texas, but all the international and USA people that come in for those international events to just open their eyes to karting that may have not known about karting before, because again, we're one of the best kept secrets in motorsports.
Right. All right, let's continue with the race report and talk about KA100 Junior. Only a couple of drivers, Alex Stanfield and Braden Robertson. Alex was able to win on Saturday, then broke early on Sunday, so Robertson took the win there. 206. You and I both have a love for the 206 program, club level racing, our Operation Grassroots effort that we've been doing for the last number of years. Big fans of everybody at Briggs. Good field, solid field. It was interesting because Brian Van Cleve was the fastest driver there. He was on an Ionic Edge chassis, an American-made chassis, qualifies on pole. He's running up front leading. I believe he was leading in the pre-final on Saturday, broke a motor mount. So he goes to the tail of the field. So as he's powering back to the front of the field, the guys up front, RJ Guajardo, Royce Johnson, they're battling back and forth. You and I know that, hey, you got the fastest guy at the back, hook up, push each other away, and race amongst yourselves. Van Cleve gets, while they're battling back and forth, he's like a second a lap faster because he's just hammered down. Dude, he gets to the back of them, drops the chain. I was gutted. That's the worst sound anybody can hear. An engine spooling up when you've lost a chain.
Oh yeah, I mean we had a couple of that GoPro on the last lap. You're racing for the lead and the chain comes off. There's nothing that can help make up for it.
Well, I don't know if Van Cleve was able to sleep on Sunday night because he didn't finish any of the 4 races. He qualified. I think he qualified second or third or whatever for Sunday, and then ended up again DNFing in the pre-final and DNFing in the final. So he just no luck whatsoever. Van Cleve. I think he popped the chain a couple of times. It was tough for him. Bottom line, with him departing, that battle between RJ Guajardo and Royce Johnson. Add in Richard Fogarty as well on his Tony card. They were right there. A good battle for the top 3. Guajardo eventually was able to stretch away a little bit. He wins round number 1. Royce Johnson in second and Richard Fogarty in third. It was just really good racing all around. On Sunday, I'm at all of a sudden as I come down, I see this Margay. And it's Jeff Dolian. And I'm like, well, okay, let's add another card here. He had the new Margay Brava 206 chassis. Loves it, and out of the box, he's like, we'll see how well I do. I'm glad to be here. I think he grew up in Illinois, lives down in Texas now, so he's going to come to Amarillo as well. Johnson ends up qualifying on the pole, but Dolian wins the pre-final, and he asserts himself as definitely the guy to beat. You know what I mean? He was just that good. In the pre-final, I think what kind of changed things around a bit too was Johnson and Guajardo were racing in turn 2, which is a banked left-hand 180-degree corner where you can carry a lot of speed in there. Johnson made a move to the inside, and they were kind of side by side. I think Guajardo was pinching down a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if Johnson rolled up a bit and just tapped, right front to left rear. And that kind of, the car in that corner, carrying that much speed into a corner, just tapped him enough and he went over. I had talked about no red flags earlier. Guajardo flipped, just a little scratch on the back of the helmet. That was it. And he was up and he was fine. But that put Guajardo at the very tail of the field with Van Cleve to start the final, which was a 25-lapper on Sunday afternoon. And they were driving like idiots. I'll say this right on the opening lap. They were 3 wide at one point coming out of turn number 2 on the opening lap. And my mind is just, guys, you're significantly faster than those guys in front of you. Just settle in for the first lap. If Van Cleve and Guajardo would have worked together, they would have been up front quickly. Instead, they were battling each other 3 wide, as I said. I think Van Cleve might have got shoved off by somebody coming through the chicane 4-5. And they just weren't using their heads, Dave. Like early opening lap red mist. Only 10 drivers in the field. You're not starting 30th. If they just would have gave themselves time, I think they would have been able to at least get up and battle for second.
I've had to suffer through that at Rock Island and other places. It's not fun being on the wrong end of that. That's for sure. But Dolian, he's no stranger to the NTK track. He's won a number of times there at club races, so it's no surprise to see him jumping out to the victory there.
Well, and he got out front. Everybody else behind him was racing. He just pulled away. It was just a really dominant performance for Dolian. Royce Johnson ends up getting second. Richard Fogarty comes back for another third place finish, and it was weird because he was so far off in qualifying. He was so far off in the pre-final. They found something wrong with the engine, and were able to, and boom, he was right back where he needed to be. So Fogarty did a great job. He ends up finishing in third spot after what could have been a rough day. They figured it out. Right back on the podium. But a good run for Jeff Dolian. Obviously a good result for the Margay as well, as the American chassis ends up winning on Sunday. Moving now to Mini Swift. We talked about the Speed Sports team, and this was all Speed Sports because it was Davis Cunningham and Joseph Moss. They were the 2 drivers to beat in the category all weekend long. Essentially, Cunningham swept all 6 of the sessions. Moss was second. The battle behind them was fun to watch. So Cunningham wins Saturday and Sunday. Moss, very similar lap times, but just not as consistent. He'd be able to turn exactly the same lap time, but then he would fall off like a half a second a lap and then maybe chip back a bit and fall back another half second a lap. I felt bad for Joseph, but once he gets that consistency, of course, working with Alan Rudolph and the crew, he is going to be a driver to watch out for. I think it's going to be interesting to see those guys battle it out because the consistency for the young drivers, David, as you know, is something that we always watch. But the battle behind them, Miles Hewitt, Elio Meza, you throw Ashlyn Speed in there as well. She was super quick, actually finishing third on track on Saturday, but they checked the stall speed and there was probably some grease or something on it on the clutch, and the stall speed wasn't there. Even though you never go below whatever RPM, 8,000 RPM or something on that track, so it didn't affect her performance. Again, not within the rules. She ended up finishing third, and I know that talking to Greg and Ashlyn that they were, I think the takeaway they had was they realized they can run with these guys. They're club racers at NTK. They're racing against some of the big dogs, and they know they can run with these guys now. So look for her to be strong when we get to Amarillo. The battle, so Miles Hewitt ends up finishing third on Saturday, but the battle on Sunday was so much fun to watch. Elio Meza hounding Hewitt all race long, finally able to get by. He ends up finishing in the third spot. Just some good young talent, David, in Texas.
Yeah, as you said, these are all up-and-coming drivers, not very familiar with running up front. As we saw last year with a number of the national guys racing in this category at the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. So, and then again, as you said, for speed, it's learning both not only on track but off track, because there's just those little things that kind of happen and you're not aware of it until you get to this level and to know, hey, well, we got to make sure we check this before every race. Or we've seen spark plug washers take away national championships from people.
Yes, we have.
We've seen, I've seen people having the wrong tires. They had Sunday tires on and they were supposed to have Saturday tires on. So again, it's part of the learning curve that you have. And that's why it's good to have these regional programs to be able to do that.
One of the interesting things about Elio Meza as well, because that you and I always try to do this. I try to make sure I'm pronouncing the names correctly. I went down and talked to Guajardo, make sure I got his name right, RJ, and you're just trying to get everybody's name correct. So I wanted to find out, is it Elio or is it Helio? Like, what do you say? So I talked to Elio and his parents. We confirmed it's actually Elio because Elio Castro Neves is his favorite driver. And he said his parents told me he's actually named after Elio Castro Neves because, and this will age him, Elio Meza was born on the night that Elio Castro Neves won Dancing with the Stars.
Oh, I was thinking like a Houston race or something like that, No,
nope,
okay.
Nope. Yeah, he was born on the night that Elio won Dancing with the Stars. So There you go for Elio. And he's a huge Pato Award fan now, though. They all had Pato Award hats on. So yeah, I get that. He's a Texan, right?
He is.
Pato's a Texan Mexican. So yeah, it was interesting. So I thought that was a great story. And I showed Elio a picture of me interviewing Elio Castro Neves at the 500 last year. And when they're going to send me the picture I took with Elio, I'm going to post that on side by side on social media because I thought that was just a cool story. That he's a great young kid too. Running actually on the Fullerton as well, David. So he's driving the Fullerton chassis. I think the only one at the Texas Pro Kart Challenge on the weekend.
I didn't even know there was one in Texas. So yeah,
that's right. So neither did I. Let's cap things off with Micro Swift. This will wrap up our race report of the Texas Pro Kart Challenge opening round at North Texas Kartway. Ethan Thomas and Dominant Driver, another big win for the Crosslink competition team. He's working with them this year on Xpree. James Moss with Speed Sports on the Burrell finished second both days. Had some good pace again, just needed a little more consistency to be able to run with Thomason. He did put down good laps, very similar to that of Thomason, but just needed more consistency. And a rookie driver, Bobby Klein, finishing third on both days. So, Dave, that wraps up our race report from the Texas Pro Kart Challenge. I'll cap things with a wrap-up, but at this time, let's jump in and have a look at our EKN Trackside Live race calendar. David and I will talk about where we're going to be over the next couple of weeks. This edition of the race calendar presented by Comet Racing Engines. Looking for that extra edge? Comet Racing Engines is your answer. The engine service program from Comet Kart Sales has been winning from coast to coast at all levels and in different forms of the sport. Comet Racing Engines continually perform track and dyno tests to provide their customers with the cutting edge in engine performance. Trackside and customer support are the cornerstone of the Comet Racing Engines business, ensuring that each and every customer receives personal attention and the help they need to achieve their best results. Contact the Comet team at cometkartsales.com or by calling 317-462-3413. All right, David, we went over this yesterday in our WK Manufacturers Cup Debrief podcast, but let's do it again now because obviously this will be a separate podcast as well. Dual weekend double-double. We did the first 2 races last week. You and I leave Thursday, you leave Friday. I'm heading to the final round of the Challenge of the Americas at Sim Raceway Performance Karting Center. As I said before, getting a chance to race in the 100cc Masters class. It's been Jimmy Gregory by himself for the first 2 races. Now, I'm hearing word that, so I'm coming in to run X30 or 100cc Masters. I think someone told me Garrett Potter potentially is going to come and run. Calvin Chen, I think, is going to run as well. So we may have a 4, 5, 6 100cc Masters drivers out there.
I got Potter beating you. Easy.
He's got he's been driving more than I have probably over the last little while. That's for sure.
I doubt it. No. I just think he's going to be better than you no matter what. But
Calvin Chen's going to be fast too. That guy drives a lot.
Yeah, he was the outlier. Yeah, he'll be ahead of everybody. But
so, anyways, it's the April 5th, 6th, 7th, folks. I'll be out at Challenge of the Americas. The minute I get there, I'm going to go to In-N-Out. I'm going to eat a burger and take a picture of it and text it to Dave. And then when I leave on Monday, I'm going to go to In-N-Out and get a double and text it to Dave.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I might even put it on the Twitter.
The Twitter bot.
The Twitter bot
thing.
Throw it up on hash. What is it again? It's is it Suck It Dave? Is that what it is?
I believe that's the yes, that is the address on Twitter.
That's what you listen, folks. If you want to follow something cool, follow at Suck It Dave on Twitter, and that's a Sean Buer right there. And essentially, what we do is we post our pictures of our In-N-Out burgers and make sure you tag Suck It Dave. So if you're going to go to In-N-Out, do that. Go Suck It Dave. Put that in, tag that. That way David can continue to see everybody that's having In-N-Out burger. Well, he doesn't.
While you're eating In-N-Out burger, I will be eating Waffle House every morning, getting, bacon and smothered and covered and all over that good stuff. And even those dollar burgers that we love to eat at Waffle House. So, so I'll have that while I'm at the United States Pro Kart Series event in Ocala Grand Prix in Central Florida. I will be leaving Thursday night, getting there a little late, but be ready to go Friday morning once they start practice at 10 a.m. that Friday morning.
Big numbers, too, you're saying, right? What did you say? They were like
over 151 right now on the pre-entry list. So, you never know. Awesome. It might get some walk-ups. So 7 categories, 150 drivers. That's pretty stout.
Giddy up. Hey, listen. So we have a break after that, which is cool. So we do this dual weekend double, 2 races last weekend, 2 races the next weekend. David and I will reconvene in 3 weeks. So 3 weeks off, David, to take a deep breath, which I think is awesome because we're going to need it. We're going to need it for sure. I go 4 in a row with Road to Indy stuff as well. And the SCUSA Spring Nationals in May, but then I get 3 more weeks off again until I head back to Road America for an IndyCar race after that. So, but May 3rd, 4th, 5th, that caps off this race calendar for EKN Trackside Live. Dude, we're going back to Utah for the SCUSA Pro Tour Spring Nationals, the 10th Spring Nationals, of course, kicking off the Pro Tour back in 2010 at Sonoma. But we're going back to Utah. I love it. I dig that place.
The first time that the facility will host the Spring Nationals, obviously, it hosted the Summer Nationals back in 2012, as we confirmed yesterday. So, not quite sure what we're going to get weather-wise there. Could get the polar vortex coming down, hitting the mountains there. So we're not quite sure what we're going to get there weather-wise because we knew every time we'd go there in the summer, it was going to be hot and sticky and windy.
Very true. So listen, just to wrap this up, when is the next time you're going to get to have an In-N-Out burger? Seriously,
that weekend.
Do they have one in Utah?
Oh yes, Rob. Salt Lake City has In-N-Out burger.
Okay, I was going to say
even if I have to drive 20 miles out of the way, it's there. I believe I did that when the Rotax Grand Nationals were there in 2013. I literally drove 20 minutes away from the airport just so I could go get an In-N-Out burger.
Because literally, think about this. After that one, it's Vegas.
Yeah, it's long
Vegas,
time.
Dude. It's November because you're not going to be coming to the streets of Lancaster this year because you got so many races. You're not going to make that one. We're going to race the next weekend at the Cup Karts North America Grand Nationals. It's May and then November.
West Valley City, Utah is the closest one to the airport and to the racetrack.
I'm telling you, folks, get on Twitter at SuckItDave. I want to see lots of posts of In-N-Out burgers because I was in Texas. You know what? I actually didn't have a Whataburger, which
why would
I went
you?
for In-N-Out instead. The funny thing is I was looking online about it, and I saw some article, and it was about chefs. What is their go-to fast food? You always laugh because chefs make this badass food, whatever it is. What is their go-to? And some people love going to Popeyes. Some people order. Well, the one guy's orders like a $30 order at Taco Bell every time he goes because that's his thing.
You've done that.
What is one of the best? We have. What is one of the best burgers we've had on tour?
Are you talking fast food, or are you just
for me? Well, no burgers, not fast food. One of my favorites is Company Burger when we were in NOLA in Louisiana. That I'm telling you, that's my goal. It's one of the best burgers I've ever had. Well, I'm reading this article, and the guy who's the chef at Company Burger, one of the owners, his go-to is a kind of a custom thing that he does at Whataburger. So I'm conflicted. I gotta try this. He does a double meat with cheese, wet, which means he puts mayo on it, no pickles. I don't know. I'm conflicted now because I have such respect for Company Burger because that place in New Orleans, one of the best ones I've ever had. So
it's still Whataburger though. I mean, it's like trying to make an ugly dog look good. It's still ugly.
Wow. You're gonna get some hate mail from the folks in Texas for sure at Whataburger. Wow. Again, hashtag Burger Tour 2019. I dig it. All right, that wraps things up for the EKN Live race calendar. 3 more events coming. Again, David and I having 3 weeks off to reset before we head to the Spring Nats in Utah. Looking forward to getting back to the Utah Motorsports Campus, as it's called now. Again, Comet Racing Engines presenting our EKN Trackside Live race calendar for this particular edition of the debrief. Let's wrap things up, David. I'm not even going to talk about shifters when we go into the Constructors' Championship breakdown for the chassis that won. 6 different brands end up winning. Xpree, good representation for the OTK brand with Crosslink, right? They sweep in Micro, they sweep in X30 Junior, and they sweep in X30 Masters. So 6 wins for Xpree, 3 wins for Burrell and the Speed Sports crew. They have a sweep in the mini category, but they also ended up with a win, I believe, in KA100 Junior with Braden Robertson. Comp Kart gets 1 win in the 206 category with Guajardo. Margay, of course, winning with Jeff Dolian. Cosmic with a couple of wins. Sweep for Austin Osborne, and FA Kart, the sweep, of course, for Caden Gray and Alex Stanfield winning in KA100 Junior. So a couple guys not there. No CRG wins there. Interesting. So, but Crosslink, dude, good looking for the Xpree brand. And again, coming off that win at the Winter Nationals as well with Joshua Carr.
Yeah, they definitely have momentum going. I'm sure they're going to be another full tent for them at the Spring Nationals when we go up to Utah. So again, racing for victories there. And not only that, but Pro 2 with Michael Lavia, they had on the podium there at the Winter Nats. So they definitely they have the momentum going for them, and it's still increasing.
So next event, as we've talked about throughout the podcast here, July 19th, 2021. Put that one on your schedule, folks. If you got that weekend open and you're anywhere where you can drive to Amarillo, Texas, number one, Amarillo, great town. I stayed in a hotel right downtown, and there, of course, it's always food, right? Badass food scene. If you're a craft beer guy, there's a couple of craft breweries. I had one of the best pizzas I've had. I'm going to go back to 525 when we're there. One of the days, though, and I'll just kind of tease this because we haven't really come up with it yet. But I talked to Mark French. I'm like, why don't we throw a barbecue and let's grill? We'll do some raffles. I'll kick out some EKN Book It t-shirts. I said, let's do it. Let's you and I cook. And he's like, yeah, let's do that. So he and I are going to put on the aprons. And one of the nights, potentially Friday night, Mark and I are going to be on the grill. So we're going to take care of everybody. Thane Morgan, the track owner, has already said he's going to supply the food. So we're going to have some fun. We maybe get a band. We're going to have some fun on Friday night at Amarillo. Going to grill some burgers, some brats, whatever we're going to do. That's going to be a lot of fun. I'm racing as well. That's the plan, is for me to get behind the wheel of something to run 206 Masters. So hopefully we can get a bunch of people to come on and run Masters as well. Mark French says he's going to potentially race as well. So again, this is a place you want to come to. It's the replica track from the F1 Turkish Grand Prix at Istanbul. Scaled down version. Everybody that went there last year absolutely loved the place. Hopefully we'll get the Picketts and the Birds and the Musgraves again coming in from California. Let's get some more guys there because Amarillo's just this cool place. And Thane Morgan, who owns the track, opening the doors for us to come and play. It's a unique opportunity to race something that's totally different.
Let's just try not to burn your hands or anything while you're cooking because it's,
that was a long time ago.
But it's going to be hot and sticky there. It's, remember what the weather was last time?
But here's the thing. It was 106 degrees there when we were there last time. It was unbelievably hot. But that's not the temps they normally get when we're there in July. It was wild because the next day, the Monday, as I'm going to get on the plane, it was 85 degrees. They get mid 80s. They don't get 106 out there. They get mid 80s. And it was just the weirdest thing because it was 85 or 86 or something leading in. Then they get this hot streak of 106 degrees trackside. And then we end up, having 85 the next day.
It's rained all 4 events I've been to this year. That doesn't typically happen to anybody, right?
We might need to bring you out to cool things off.
Perfect. There we go.
One other thing, again, food noted. With the food truck they had there, I had some of the best street tacos I've had in a long time.
Not better than Phoenix.
No, Phoenix is pretty good. You're right.
Yeah.
But these were good. The carne asada tacos there were good. It was awesome. Maybe I should have a food website.
I thought we did when you
were open a restaurant.
I thought you were getting a food truck.
Listen, you know what? That could be in the retirement. I don't know.
All Monday was all the April Fool's jokes going on, and I'm pretty sure our still is the best.
I'll tell you one thing about that April Fool's joke where you came on and told about everybody that I was leaving, I was selling the business to you, and I was opening up a food truck with Shelby Jocelyn called Book It Bites. I lost the entire day. I had so much to do that day. And because you posted that, people are messaging me, well, Rob, what are you doing? Why are you doing? You need to stay in the sport. I lost the entire day because of you.
That's a great thing.
That's a bonus
it
too.
Is.
All right, let's cap things off. We're done here, folks. Again, Texas Pro Kart Challenge back on track July 19th, 2021 on the Amarillo Kart Circuit in West Texas. Come and join us. We're going to have some fun. If you're a 206 driver, 206 Masters driver, it's the hashtag. That's the other thing, Dave. We're going to call it the hashtag Beat Rob Howden Challenge. If you beat me on track, you win an EKN hat. Simple. I'm going to have to buy a bunch of hats.
Yeah, that's like our whole clothing budget.
It's the hashtag Beat Rob Howden Challenge. That's what David's using to try to beat me at the Brickyard and at Cup Karts North America, where we're going to go head to head this year. That's what we're going to do. So that's another part of it. We're going to challenge anybody in 206 Masters. The challenge is on. Come to Amarillo. If you can beat me, I'll get you an EKN hat. I might have to put hashtag I beat Rob Howden on it.
Yeah, I mean, only fair. I mean, it's going to be like 5 hats at least. So yeah.
Wow, you don't have any faith in me at all. I appreciate
Yep.
that. We'll see. Yep. All right, guys, we're done for this podcast. We appreciate you tuning in. If you're listening on the app, do us a favor and go on to iTunes, whether it's you've downloaded the app, give us a review on the app. If you're downloading it from iTunes, please go on and give us a review, either that or Google Play, whatever it may be. Give us a review. Give us a 5-star. It's going to help, of course, with our rating and our promotion. If we're not a 5 stars, I always say, send me an email. What can we do better with these podcasts? What do you want to see? Send me an email anyways, if you want as well. rhowden@howdenmediagroup.com. Send me a message. You can contact me on any of my social media platforms as well. Rob Howden on Twitter, on Facebook. My Instagram is @RobHowdenRacing. Follow me. Send me a message there. If you got an idea for a podcast, who should we interview? Great story, right, David? Give us some input. We'd love it.
We'd love input. We got to tell us what you want to hear, what we want to talk about,
Yep.
all the different things, how well you're doing on podcasts, how terrible I'm doing. I don't care what it is. Just tell us just give us feedback.
During the 3-week break we have in April, we're going to roll our first roundtable podcast as well. We're going to get a couple of guests on, David and I, 2 other guests, and we're going to hit a couple of cool topics. We'll talk pushback bumper. We'll talk double race weekends, whatever it may be. We're going to come up with some different podcast topics to hit, and that's where we'd love some input from our listenership here at EKN Nation. So if you have any ideas, email us, hook us up with social media. We'd love to hear from you. Otherwise, David, any final words?
Excited to wrap up this dual weekend double. with some Waffle House.
And I'm going to send you a picture of a double animal style with chopped chilies. That's what you're getting from me.
Done.
All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining David and I here on the EKN Radio Network. We appreciate it. I'm Rob Howden. Bye for now.